Hello everyone, I'm Olivia Dean and you're watching Learning at Home TV. Its purpose is to connect Queensland teachers with primary school students who are enjoying lessons on television, and my role is to guide our younger students through their session. We always offer tips for staying fit and healthy, and also today in English we'll hear about being a good listener. In maths, the focus is on three-dimensional objects, and in science, we'll look for the reason behind the shapes of some materials. Good morning to all the kids out there. It is time to get ready and have some fun. All right, guys, before we click our brains into learning mode, we like to wake our bodies and get our energy levels up. And this morning, we have quite a fun way to do that.
Hi, I'm Lauren.
Hi, I'm Edmund and I'm in grade 1.
What's your favourite animal, Edmund?
A crab, a kangaroo and a lizard.
They're great animals. Should we be animals today and get active?
Yeah?
Jump off the couch and join in. All right, let's be a kangaroo first. Feet together. See how high we can hop. Hop, hop, boing. That's a great kangaroo, Edmund. What should we do next? A crab? Does a crab go like this?
Yeah?
Does it? Crab, scuttle, scuttle. Let's try being a crab another way. Get down on our hands and feet and scuttle to the side. Scuttle, scuttle. That's it. Scuttle, scuttle back. Back the other way. Well done. Should we be a lizard now? What kind of lizard?
Blue tongue.
Blue tongue lizard. Okay, let's push our arms up straight. Stick that blue tongue out. That's a great lizard, Eddie. Well done. Thanks for being active with us today. See you next time.
Well, that was fun, but now it is time to sit back comfortably in your seats so that you can be ready to give us your full attention, because Laura and Robbie are exploring what it means to be a good listener. Enjoy listening and learning.
Hello, I'm Laura. It's great that you could join me today. Sometimes I find it tricky to listen to what other people are saying. I get really distracted by other things happening around me. Does that ever happen to you? There are ways you can be a better listener. Today we're going to think about how to be an active listener. What do you do to be an active listener? My friend Robbie is here to show us how to be an active listener. Hi Robbie.
Hi Laura. Hi everyone.
Thank you for joining us and showing us what it is to be an active listener.
Thanks. I'm happy to help other people be active listeners.
Robbie, could you tell us first what it looks like to be an active listener?
I'm sitting still, I'm looking at the other person and I'm listening to what they're saying. Looking at the person speaking helps me listen and understand.
Good thinking. And what does it sound like to be an active listener?
One person speaking at a time. That way we're not trying to talk over the top of each other. If we talk at the same time, I'm thinking about what I'm saying and I'm not listening to what you're saying.
And Robbie, what does it feel like to be an active listener?
It feels like I'm interested in what you've got to say. I can show you I'm listening by asking questions and talking to you about other bits of information. If you were talking about dogs, I wouldn't be talking to you about cars.
That's such good thinking, Robbie. And what does it feel like when you're talking about something really important and the other person's not listening?
Well, it makes me sad. I have a dog called Charlie who I love. And if I'm telling a story about Charlie and they're not listening, I feel really sad.
That would make me feel sad too. I love sharing important things with my friends and family, and I like to know that they're listening. Thank you, Robbie, for coming in today and sharing with us what it looks like to be an active listener.
Thanks, Laura.
Now it's time for us to practice being an active listener as we read a story about feelings. So let's get ready to listen. Remember, to be an active listener, we sit still, we have our eyes on the book, and we don't talk until it's our turn. To be an active listener, we look at people's faces and their actions, as well as the words that they're saying. The title of our story is, How Are You Feeling? How are you feeling? If you smile, laugh, bounce, how are you feeling? Happy. If you sigh, rock, yawn, how are you feeling? Bored. If you cry, sniffle, sigh, how are you feeling? Sad. If you joke, giggle, jiggle, how are you feeling? Cheeky. If you pout, whine, frown, how are you feeling? Grumpy. If you jump, gasp, yelp, how are you feeling? Surprised. If you cry, tremble, whimper, how are you feeling? Scared. If you cling, peek, hide, how are you feeling? Shy. If you snatch, complain, pout, how are you feeling? Jealous. If you yell, scream, cry, how are you feeling? Angry. If you grin, jump, strut, how are you feeling? Proud. If you cheer, jump, scream, how are you feeling? Excited. When we feel a certain way, it can show on our face and in our actions. How do you think I'm feeling when I look like this? That's right, I looked grumpy. Let's look at pictures from the story now that show different feelings. See if you can tell me how the characters are feeling by looking at their faces and what they're doing with their body. This is a wombat. It's cheering and jumping. How do you think it's feeling? Let's see. Excited. Let's have a look at the hippopotamus. It's jiggling and giggling. How do you think it's feeling? Let's see. Cheeky. Let's do one more. Let's have a look at the rhinoceros. The rhinoceros is looking like it's smiling, laughing and bouncing. How do you think it's feeling? That's right, it's definitely happy. Let's have a look. Yes, we were right. I remember a time when I was happy and I was riding my bike yesterday. I'm going to draw a picture of me riding my bike. I've got a green bike, so I'm going to draw it green. Big green wheels. And a big handlebar. And my seat to sit on. Now I'm going to draw me. I have to draw my head and my body and my legs on the pedals and my hands on the steering wheel. And I'm going to draw myself with a big smile on my face because I'm happy. But my drawing's not finished yet. I need a helmet because I need to be safe. There. My drawing's finished of my happy time riding my bike. But now I need a sentence to go with my drawing. So I'm going to write, I am riding my bike. I'm going to start over here on the left-hand side. I am riding my bike. There, I'm finished. Think of a time when you felt happy. Draw a picture of a happy time and write some words or sentences to tell everyone about it. Today we looked at what it means to be an active listener. My friend Robbie shared what it meant to be an active listener, involving showing interest, sharing information and asking questions about what's being said. We demonstrated active listening skills when we read the story, How Are You Feeling? We talked about how the rhinoceros was feeling in the story, happy, because they were smiling, laughing and bouncing. I shared my happy time when I was riding my bike and wrote a sentence about it too. Now it's your turn to draw a picture of your happy time and write some words or sentences to tell us about it. Have fun and bye for now.
Welcome back to Learning at Home TV for a maths lesson. Today's subject is three-dimensional objects. They are everywhere around us, and Kristen and Monique will show us how to identify them. Let's get started.
Hi everyone, my name is Kristen and I'm here with my friend Monique. Hi Monique.
Hi, Kristen.
We are so happy you could join us today. Today, we are learning about three-dimensional objects. Let's have a look at the three-dimensional objects I have with me. I have a tennis ball, a glue stick, some dice, a party hat, a shoebox, and a paperweight. We see objects such as these ones every day. I wonder what they have in common to be three-dimensional. Let's have a look at some images of everyday three-dimensional objects. A jewelry box, the roof of a pergola, a laundry basket, a stone block, a traffic marker, a basketball. All of these objects are three-dimensional objects. Do you know why they are three-dimensional? Three-dimensional objects have length, width and height. So, this tissue box is a three-dimensional object because it has length, width and height. Let's watch a video that shows how three-dimensional objects all have these three features: length, width and height.
Three-dimensional objects. A 3D object has length, width, and height. Objects can be compared and measured by considering how long the object is, how wide it is, and how high it is. These are other examples of 3D objects. Each object has length, width, and height.
So, an object can be three-dimensional if it has length, width and height. I have some models of common three-dimensional objects. Can you see how they are just like the objects on my desk? Let's have a look more closely. This is a sphere. This is a cylinder. This is a cube. This is a cone. This is a rectangular prism. And this is a pyramid. And there are many more types of three-dimensional objects too. When we describe what a three-dimensional object looks like, we use words such as flat, round, pointy, curved, and straight. Three-dimensional objects also have features that we use to describe them. These are surface. A surface is the outermost layer of a three-dimensional object. Surfaces can be curved or flat. Face. A face is a flat surface of a three-dimensional object. Edge. An edge is a line where two faces of a three-dimensional object meet. And corner. A corner is a point of an object where its edges meet. These features show how three-dimensional objects are alike and how they're different. We're going to listen to the nursery rhyme Humpty Dumpty now. I wonder what it has to do with these three-dimensional objects. Watch and see.
Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall.
all the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty together again.
Well, Humpty definitely had some adventures. We could describe Humpty Dumpty as round. Another way to describe Humpty is that he has a curved surface. Do you think that is why he fell off the wall? Three-dimensional objects like this marble and this egg and, like Humpty, roll. Three-dimensional objects that have curved surfaces and can roll are spheres, cones and cylinders. The wall Humpty sat on had flat faces, straight edges and corners. Objects like this box, highlighter and pencil container that also have flat faces with straight edges and corners don't roll, but they do stack very well. Three-dimensional objects that can stack are cubes, rectangular prisms and cylinders when you sit them on their flat faces. Pyramids and cones have a flat base you can sit them on. Pyramids and cones also have a feature called an apex, which is the point opposite their base. I have many three-dimensional building blocks here. I'm going to use them to build a wall. I'm going to choose cubes and rectangular prisms in my wall because they both have flat faces and straight edges. They are perfect for stacking to make a wall. I'm going to take these rectangular prisms and place them here on the bottom. Then I will place some cubes on top. And then I'm going to place these rectangular prisms on top of them. There, I've built a wall with some of the three-dimensional objects that stack. That's a great wall, Monique. Well done. It looks just like Humpty's wall.
Thanks, Kristen. Wow, we have learned so much about three-dimensional objects today. We have learned about spheres. They have a curved surface and can roll.
We have learned about rectangular prisms and cubes. They have flat faces, straight edges, and have corners. They do not roll, but they can stack.
We have learned about pyramids. They have flat faces, straight edges, corners, and a point called an apex. They do not roll, but they can sit flat on their base.
We have learned about cylinders. They have both flat faces and a curved surface. A cylinder can roll or stack depending on which face you sit it on.
And we have learned about cones. They have a curved surface which helps them roll and a flat face on which they can sit. Thanks so much for joining us today. You might like to look out for any three-dimensional objects around your home or do some building with blocks too. Bye, Kristen.
Bye, Monique.
Bye, everyone.
There's a special part of our show called My Place, where we introduce you to a Queensland school student so that they can tell you a bit about themselves or their community. Well, today we will be hearing from a whole bunch of kids from a town in southwest Queensland called Cunnamulla.
Hi, I'm Addison Pender and I'm a descendant of the Budgety people.
Hi, I'm Chloe Murphy. I'm a descendant of the Badgety and Murrawarri people of southwest Queensland.
River is life for Aboriginal people.
I'm in Year 7 at the Cunnamulla Peter 12 State School and one of my favourite subjects is art.
I wish this thing was Let's go. Cunnamulla is an Aboriginal word which means long stretch of deep water.
Today we are making Johnny cakes and this is how we connect to our culture.
Johnny cakes are yum with butter and syrup. Johnny cakes are cooked on the coals of a fire.
We would like to acknowledge and pay respect to the traditional Maori owners and their elders, both past, present and future.
Do you have a school bag? I do. Does it carry your lunchbox, your drink bottle, and maybe a container for your pencils? They must be pretty strong to hold all of these different things for us. A designer had to decide what materials to make each of them from and what shape works best for our school bags. Today in Science, we're looking at how materials can be shaped to make useful objects.
Hi, I've got a few different containers here. They've been designed to hold different sorts of things. Can you tell what kind of materials containers are made from? This box was made from cardboard. It was protecting something that came in the mail. It's fairly strong. It doesn't have to last very long. When I make pies, I bake them in these tins. They're made of metal. It's really strong and it won't melt in the oven when it gets hot. This bag is made of cotton fabric. It's really soft and padded and it can fit the shape of the object inside. It's really useful to carry things in. This mug, it was moulded from clay. It holds hot drinks really safely and the handle doesn't get too hot. Can you think of any other types of containers? What can you see around the room? What other materials are used for containers? All of these materials had to be shaped to make them useful. So we're going to look at some of the ways we can shape and join materials. Now, a cardboard box starts out as a flat sheet. Designers work out what shape to cut it out so that it can fold into a box. So cardboard is easy to cut and to fold. It's a really useful material for that. When I bake pies, I start with some flat pie pastry and I press it into the tin to get the shape of my pie. Now, at the factory where they made these tins, they started out with a flat sheet of metal, a bit like the pastry, and they used a big pressing machine to push the tin into a mould, just like I pressed the pastry into shape. The metal, even though it's hard, it's a bit flexible and it can be bent into this shape if you have a machine. This bag started out as a flat piece of fabric and it was cut into shape and then it was sewn together. So I've got a needle and thread. I could do some stitches. And if I kept sewing, I'd have myself a bag. But this one was probably done with a sewing machine. Fabric is soft and it's flexible and it's easy to join and shape. My coffee cup started out as a lump of clay. So someone moulded it into shape. There's a bowl. And then they baked it in a very hot oven, much hotter than the one in your kitchen. So clay is flexible and so it's easy to mould into shape. And when it's baked, it's waterproof and quite hard. Think about why the designers used these materials. To think about that, we're going to try answering some what-if questions. Now, this fabric bag is quite flexible. So it can fit to the shape of whatever I put in it. But what if I made a coffee cup from fabric? When I put it down, it would let my coffee spill out, and it would probably leak through as well. What if I made my pie in a cardboard container? It could hold the pie in shape, but it might catch fire in the oven. What if I used clay to make a container to protect my fragile object? I'd make it big enough, but it would be hard, and this object might get damaged if it was banging around inside. Aboriginal people and Torres Strait Islander peoples had lots of clever ways to make containers from natural materials. I've got a couple here. This is a design that they used. It's a bowl made from a gourd. A gourd's a bit like a melon full of fruit and seeds, but when it's emptied out, it's a hard shell. It's been cut in half. It's strong and it's really light and it's waterproof. This design is made from part of a leaf of a palm tree. If you soak this in water for a day, it gets really soft and flexible, and you can bend it into shape and tie it up with vines. It's a really good container, but when it's dry, it goes hard and stiff and stays in shape. Let's look back on what we've learnt today. First, we now know that designers choose materials that suit the purpose that the object will be used for. Second, we can shape and join materials in different ways, such as cutting and bending and stitching and moulding. What other kinds of containers have you found at your place? Maybe you have something precious that needs a container to keep it safe. What material could you use to make a container for it? How would you shape it and join it? Have fun.
Hands up if you've ever played netball. I did, and I really enjoyed playing centre because I was always so full of energy and I loved running around. But why don't we all try some netball moves now? Because it's a great way to get some exercise. After this brain break, Luke will be joining the middle primary students, so bye for now.
Hi, I'm Jason.
And I'm Maeve and I'm in grade 5.
Maeve, what's your favourite sport at the moment?
My favourite sport is netball.
Netball, and what are some of your favourite movements from netball?
I like to shoot and defend.
Shooting and defending, fantastic. Can you show me some netball moves today that we might be able to do inside?
Quick feet.
Quick feet first one, all right, let's do it. Let's get off the couch, let's have a go. What are we doing?
On the ball of your feet,
Yep.
go forward and back.
So quick toes, quick feet, up on those balls, good. All right, and we might use this when we're sort of chasing our defender or getting in a good position?
Yes.
Okay. All right, what's move number 2? What can we do next?
A defence stance. You're balancing on one foot, one leg out, and one leg and one arm in front.
Whoa, okay, that's pretty hard for me. Wow, you do it so well. Okay, should we swap feet?
Yes.
Okay, give it another go. And do we use 2 feet out, 2 hands out, or one?
One.
Just one, and we hold our balance pause. Oh, good job. All right, and what's the third move that we need to do?
A pivot.
Okay, so how do we do a pivot step?
One foot is glued to the floor, and you have to step around in a circle with the other.
Okay, you show me how. Yeah, right. And why is it important, Maeve, to not step in netball?
Because then you'll get a penalty.
A penalty, so you can't move with the ball, can you?
No.
No. All right, fantastic. Thank you for sharing those moves with me, Maeve. Hope you had fun at home. We'll see you next time.